I'm looking at the attendance here, and I'm thinking Scott is going to be doing our educational program tonight. I don't see him joining yet, so we'll start with the business side of things, and then we'll give way to him if he's ready when he is able to join. Okay, so welcome to the September W7PRA meeting. I'm Paul Enzero VLR, chair of the board, and we'll start with some introductions. And let's see, Steve, KW7F. I always tongue twist that, sorry.
I'm Steve, KW7F, and I live in Northwest. Where do I live? Northwest Corvallis. Getting too old.
Right on. Anthony, you're next to my screen.
Anthony, KE7OSN in Staten.
And Sharp and Snappy Dresser.
Yeah, that must be me because, I got this shirt on over the other shirt because, I'm a snappy dude. And I am Ted, W7RTM, in the suburbs of Philomath. Kind of.
Thank you, Ted. Ted's our club secretary, and we appreciate his efforts there. Okay, Olin.
Well, I'm Olin. I'm in Northwest Corvallis, bounded by Walnut Circle and 29th, somewhere in there, in that little triangle. And WA7YXY.
Very good. And our chief grill master, Paul, who brought his and didn't leave his tongs behind this time.
Paul, W7PEB, and I brought the finest set of tongs the dollar store would sell me.
All right. And he's out of the thriving metropolis of Roseburg, right?
Between Roseburg and Winston.
Close enough. Mr. Ty, you're up.
Ty Parsons, WB7DD, Southeast Corvallis, about a mile south of downtown.
All right, thank you. And Thomas.
Hey, I don't get around here very often. I'm normally from Bend, but I'm currently down in Shady Cove, north of Medford, and I'm KX7RAY.
All right. Well, that looks like a vanity call. Are you an X-ray technician, or is that just something that you just got lucky with?
If I give prizes out, you'll be the first one to win. You figured it out. I'm a rad tech, and I've been shooting images since '04.
Nice. Well, thanks for joining us, and you're welcome every month, and we'd love to have you. We do try to have educational sessions as well as informative information, and we'd love to have you and share what you know, because that's how we all learn. So thanks for joining us. Mr. Drew, out of the thriving metropolis of South Albany.
Drew Terrell, South Albany, W3HES.
Good audio tonight, Drew. Thank you for joining us. Andrew,
Andrew, W7AAU, near the Oakville Presbyterian Church, between Tangent and Corvallis.
Thank you, Andrew. Andrew's our treasurer. We appreciate your service. And Scott.
Hello, everyone. KF7GGN, Scott in Northwest Corvallis, not too far from Olin.
Right on. And Scott, I was going to maybe put you up first if you still had some material to share or talk about, or how'd you do with that?
Yeah. Would you guys mind if I, because I'm pretty busy, I don't have a whole lot of time to put together these things, but what I decided to do last month, I think the topic that Mike was presenting was all about the spectrum analyzers, and in particular the tiny spectrum analyzer, the tiny SA. If you all recall that, those of you who participated, and I was intrigued with his talk, and I thought, if I did a talk the next month, because it was kind of, Mike was thinking about not showing up this time, I would do an extension of what he talked about. So I thought, well, how am I going to do this if I can't really, put together my own talk? So I thought, why don't I just show you a nice video I already found from somebody
Okay.
else, and it's like about 20 minutes long, and I thought it wouldn't be too boring for you, and it would just be an application of the TinyVNA, to show you
Okay.
something like that. Would I bore you guys if I did something like that?
No,
or-
I only have two questions. One, do we know how to pipe your audio through on a Zoom call? And number two, if there's any copyrights for us having to post it on our website. That's
good
all.
question. Well, that's one. Yeah, I was wondering about the audio aspect of it, because I can just share my screen, but I don't know if the audio will come through, if it's going to come through that.
Mhm.
The other thing is
Um,
the copyright. Yeah, good question.
Mhm.
I thought maybe you wouldn't just maybe turn off the recording during that period.
Yeah, we'd have to link to directly to the video.
Oh, you would. So
Yeah.
then in that case, no, then I guess we really shouldn't go with the presentation of that sort.
That's okay. I mean, it's fine, Scott. It's not a problem. We just want to stay on the right side of the law here.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
As you're well aware.
Understood. Yeah, but the main thing is I don't think you'd be able to hear it. So I think Anthony, I was wondering about that. Okay. Then
Really?
that's-
So what do we do? Why don't we do this? Why don't you send us the link with a little write-up to W7PR, the group, and that way we can kind of look at it on our own and just view it as we need to and we stay compliant.
okay.
Okay?
All right.
Yep, but I appreciate sharing what you know. I mean, whether it's, sharing it on this meeting or just sharing it around on the reflector.
Sure. Okay.
Is this a YouTube video?
Yeah.
I've shared that before. I don't recall an issue with the audio, but it's been a while.
Well, I mean, I think now the question is, were we violating any copyright, kinds of things? Because if even if I could present it with the audio coming through, then if we record it, then we kind of like record somebody else's YouTube video. On our
Yeah,
own video.
So
Yeah.
I don't think we would. I mean, you should still be able to show it. Granted, most people are pretty good about on their videos. You can click on the more information. It'll give you like their copyright, what permissions you have, and we would just not record that, or I would cut that out of the recording, and we just link to that that video from the website in lieu of our own channel. So I think it would
Okay,
work
so
out
here's
good.
here's an idea. Why don't we do the business side of the meeting and then we can stop the recording and then we can stay online and see if it works with the audio. That'd be a great test. And if it doesn't, then you can just share it via the reflector. Okay, Scott?
Okay. That sounds.
Okay, that way we're compliant with everything.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Okay, we have one last introduction. Mr. Vaughn, thank you for joining us tonight. Are you on just a call in, or are you just off camera?
I'm just off camera, that's all.
Okay, Roger, thanks for joining, and good to see you on Saturday as well.
And you, thanks for having me out. I appreciate it. I'm Vaughn, W0ULF. I'm up in the hills on the far side of Lebanon. Not the same side of the hills of Lebanon as Paul, but out there.
Right on, Vaughn. And thank you. I forgot to mention when I introduced myself, I am from Lebanon as also. Actually, I have a Lebanon zip code, but I'm still 8 minutes away from Lebanon. So go figure. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and start this meeting. We'll start with the secretary's report, Mr. Ted.
So Thursday, I sent out the meeting minutes from August. And I have heard back from our fearless leader saying they're always cool with him. If there's any other comments, additions, deletions from the group, please let me know, w7rtm@arrl.net, and I would appreciate anything you got. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ted, for putting that together. A duty we all appreciate, especially when we need the history of when things happened and when we have to go look back at things. Anybody have any questions for Ted about the recent meeting minutes? Okay, great. Treasurer's report. Andy, are you able to Share, I don't think I got an email, but I haven't, I may have deleted it by accident, so I apologize.
Okay, yeah, I got the treasurer's report. As of September 16, our checking account is $1,610.27. Our savings is $4,095.35. Our PayPal account is $140.36. Our Square Up account is 81 cents. Our total is $4,236. No, $4,236.52. And that's as of September the 16th.
So one thing I misheard, the checking account, was that 610 or 1,610? I didn't hear.
Yeah, checking account is 1,610 and 27 cents. So I read 1610.27.
Right.
And I have one correction. Andy read the total for checking and savings in themselves is just $2,485.08 according to his email.
Oh, you are correct. I scribbled notes quickly on a piece of paper to read, and I stand corrected. I left out the savings account and wrote in the total. Anyway, our total is in the bank is $4,095.35. Our total assets is $4,236.52. Excellent at catching me on that, Ted.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Andy. And I appreciate it. Good seeing you. Yeah, good seeing everybody around. Okay. All right, any questions or additional comments for the treasurer's report? Okay. I'll stand in for Ron. He's normally giving us the website report. I know he's always open for comments. I know we have some things that I'd like to change, and I am even calcitrant in sending him those updates. But if you want to go look at it, it's W7P, no, sorry, peakradioassociation.org. Hope I got that right. Hang on a second. I always radio. For it. I have just the, hang on a second. Peakradio.org. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, I have the editable copy that's on the Google Drive, and such. I never see, I actually never see the actual hosted site because I always go to the native page. My apologies. So it's peakradio.org. I'm especially looking for ideas for content and other things that you'd like to add. It's a very basic, fundamental site. There is one outstanding thing that I wanted to do, and that's to get together with Chris, AB7BS, and we're going to come up with some sort of a compiled statement. I have talked to him. He's been busy running around doing a project that's going to take him through October. Very time-critical work project, so I really didn't want to bother him with some small items like this. But so it's not that I haven't forgotten about it. So everybody go take a look at the page and see if there's anything you'd like to add. You can just email Ron. There's a webmaster email at the bottom, and feel free to send your comments and just put your signature at the bottom. He may not know your email address. That would be great. Okay. Mike's not here, but he led us in a discussion the other day, last meeting, about Bill KE7ZKH's estate. He's been working directly with Michelle, his wife, and I think there's if I'm not mistaken, somebody correct me. I think it's in the meeting minutes, which I don't have up on my screen right now, but I think it's October the 7th is the day that we were going to get together. Whoever volunteered on October the 7th to help part out some of the items from Bill's house. And that is getting ready for Rick Rial on October the 22nd. I've already got 2 tables under my name for that event. And hope everybody can make it. And so if you can support that in any way, especially if you're in the Corvallis area and you could help, I think many hands will make light work. So check it out with Mike if you know how to get a hold of him, w7ris@arrl.net, and raise your hand and throw your hat in the ring. And I think he'd really appreciate it. And I know Bill's family would as well. Okay. I will mention that the repeater reports, if anybody's interested, there's been a number of interests. And so every once in a while, I'll just remind everybody that there is a Facebook page. If you want to see what the repeater statuses are, I just put it in the chat window. You're welcome to go join it. I do not run that. That's Chris, AB7BS. If you just make sure that you follow instructions, if you want to join, he wants to know your name and your call sign. There may be a question you have to answer as well. Just tell him, you're interested in getting updated repeater statuses and other things. And I'm sure he'll answer appropriately. Has anybody been listening on Saturdays to the Peak Radio, any of the repeaters by any chance? Anybody in the morning, maybe by noon time frame? You might have heard a lot of additional traffic from the Alrata nets, and that's an acronym. And there is don't quiz me on what that acronym is, but I do know that it's very much of interest to especially the truck drivers and those who travel a larger distance than the Peak Radio network goes, and that they can use special devices to be able to connect into the repeater system. I talked to at least three fellows that use this kind of these kinds of devices, and they connect to repeater nets. Linked repeaters or other networks that are around the USA, and it's a real valuable tool for them. But so Ken, K7 N6K&E, excuse me, out of California, he's been hosting some different nets. The last one was something that used to be done when Johnny Jones was around, and that was the what did he call it? A shout out net or something, or something. I forget what it was called. I'd have to go look it up. But basically, it was the sound off. That's it, sound off net. And so people would check in, and then they would you could just give each other audio reports on how they were being received, if they were getting into the repeater that they think, try different radios. It was actually very valuable. It ran for like a couple of hours. On Saturday, they thought it was going to be over in 45 minutes, and it was still going strong at 2.5 hours. So apparently that was very popular. Okay, Scott's here. Scott, maybe you could tell us a little bit about Picnic and POTA. First of all, I want to thank you and Ron for putting this together and acquiring the space. And if there's any costs that were associated with it, please make sure that we get it to Andy.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, Ron would be the better one to speak because he was well, also the other Paul, PB. Hi. How many contacts did you make there?
I had about 20 contacts, and I don't know, my actual working time was less than 45 minutes.
Okay, very good. So were you getting pileups and all that kind of thing? Oh, you're muted. Paul, you're muted.
You have to mute your
I hit the
unmute
space
your
bar,
audio.
but that didn't work.
Oh, okay.
Uh, I had about 20 contacts. They were pretty well spread out, wasn't too bad. I tried to get in a little on the Washington Salmon Run, but I didn't go up to 40 meters, and so I really wasn't able to get anybody. But at least I got my activation in.
Okay. Well, maybe if you had waited a couple of hours, you would have really had much better luck. I mean, you did really well. There's no question about it. 20 contacts is still 20 contacts. But I know you closed up fairly early. So
Of course, I had
after
a
lunch, huh?
I had a 2.5-hour drive home too. So
I know. I know, of course. Well, so Ron had his setup going after lunch, and he just didn't stop for well over an hour, and he made probably 40 contacts, I would say, one after the other. So I videotaped him, I videoed him with my phone for about 10 minutes of those, and in those 10 minutes, he got a deep Canadian contact, he got Japan, and he got Puerto Rico. So the propagation was just booming. And he had pileups. I mean, every time he said parks on the air, he had 4 or 5 people come back. So finally, after about an hour, he finally stopped. And then I said, Ron, can I please plug my, paddles in so I can try some CW stuff? So I did, but unfortunately there were very few operators on CW. The only ones who were really on were the Texas QSO party, which was going on at the same time. So I got a couple of those people. And then we had Michael, I can't remember his last name, who's the area coordinator, the 7 area coordinator for POTA. Paul, do you remember?
WA7 SKG.
SKG, right. So Michael, anyway, WA7 SKG. And so he came over and he said, don't worry about it. You can log any contact you make, you can log in the POTA log, and then just, even if you didn't exchange park numbers, it still counts. So I can count those QSOs I made with the Texas QP people as part of that. So I was just trying to see if CW, was active at all. And we were on 15 meters. And unfortunately, there weren't very many for me, but that's okay because Ron did extremely well, on sideband. And so, like I said, I have a little video about 10 minutes long of many of his contacts. So it didn't stop. I'll post that on the Reflector. I don't know if anybody'd be interested in watching any of that, but
Yeah, if you have a link to it, Scott, instead of sending the larger file,
sure.
that would be great. And then we can link. Maybe you could say, because Webmaster's not going to post himself, but if you say we need to show how much fun POTA is, here's an example, of what this is, right? So anyway, I would, if you do that, then it'll happen. If you just send a large file, it'll probably blow up the Reflector.
It probably will. So last but not least, Michael WA7 SKG, the 7 area coordinator for POTA, himself got on the air, and I don't know how many contacts he made. He had his station in his truck, so he just went in there and operated. And I believe he probably had maybe 40 contacts. So all in all, it was a very good day for doing POTA at that park. The propagation just was superb. So it went well.
Right.
Thank
you, Scott, and thank you, Paul, for participating in POTA and bringing your barbecue wares as well. Certainly appreciate it. I was able to make a show up late and leave early kind of thing. I had something I was trying to be in 2 places at once. So anyway, appreciate everybody chipping in. 2 other things that came to mind. One is, if anybody was interested, WA7 SKG was running a 33-foot coiled wire on a 20-foot flagpole, kind of, not flagpole, but a fiberglass stick. So he kind of wound it around, and he had 33 feet of it going into, I think it was like an LDG tuner in his truck. And it had an ICOM 7100 in it. I looked at it all. I looked at everything. I was like, how was people doing this? And Ron, unique, created his own unique painter's pole kind of elevator thing that goes into his trailer hitch and he has just opposing ham sticks. That's it. Just, you know, the usual, the little $10 bracket that you get at MFJ, right? And he had to do some extra support for it, but nonetheless, it's what he ran with. And ironically enough, I think that's what he used at 7QP as well. But he did very well. So if you're looking to get out and do it in the field, you don't need any massive antenna. You can just put something together like that vertical or that those two dipoles. Yes, thank you, Ron, Vaughn. Yeah, Ron had a big old concrete pole float. Yeah, exactly. So it's the stuff that people do driveways with, right? And he had these 3 extended poles that screw together, and that's his system.
Right, it's all homebrew. He told me that those poles cost about, I think, $60 a piece or thereabouts. He gets them at Lowe's, or you can buy them there. And but he, you know, I don't know, I think they're 6-foot lengths each, and you screw them together. So he had about 24 feet of a mast, and then he home built a little, you know, a way of getting those 2 telescoping whip antennas to extend out sideways. A very good system, and worked very, very well. And he's got a swivel mount on his hitch, so that's how he was able to get the thing up and down. You know.
Speak of the devil. And I'll hand it over to Ron in a second to just add to any more of his experience. And I want to I thanked you just missed my thank you to everybody who came to the picnic in POTA, and especially those who coordinated it. Before I hand it over to Ron, I want to mention that I also invited Bonnie Altus from the ARRL club. I forget her exact title, but she's the one who is intended to inspire and keep membership for ARRL club membership going and for this area. And so she was happy to join us. She gave a little couple minute speech and talk about how we celebrated our 10th year anniversary as an ARRL club. Now, we've been around longer, and she says many clubs do it the same way. They form, and then, you know, a couple of years later, once they've got a stable base, then they join it as an ARRL member, as affiliated club. She did want to mention that we have an opportunity to, if we are ARRL members and we want to go through the trouble of paying our dues through the club gets a little cut. It's not something I want to vote on right now. I want to look into it. So I don't know as if there would be much interest. And so we're not going to do that if there isn't. So Ron, any other words to say about we were already, you know, talking about your radio setup and everything else.
Well, I considered the picnic a great success. Really enjoyed having everybody there, especially the Mike and Betty, as you said. At least for me, in 15 meters there, hey, I know Scott took some video. It was nonstop. Really enjoyed that. It was great seeing everybody, the different setups. I've never seen any 2 portable setups the same, so that always amazes me. It was a great time, and look forward to when we can all get together again. Christmas, I think.
Yep. Yeah. We should probably talk about that. It's coming around that time. That's a great topic to bring up next meeting. I will put it on my list for October.
Quick comment. So I did come home. I went to the POTA early, helped set up as best I could. Then I went home to see if I could make contact with anybody. And I was mostly on 15 meters, but I never heard anybody from Ron and I from time to time scanned 14 meters, or excuse me, 20 meters and 40 meters. And I never connected. My apologies.
No, and
sorry.
Good.
Paul? Did you want me to talk about the Volunteer on the Air program?
Well, yes. This is actually, you're right up next.
Oh,
I want to make sure we don't have any other questions for the, but this is exactly where I put you on my agenda, Paul. So yes. Anybody else have any comments or questions about Picnic and POTA? Is this something that you'd like us to continue as a sort of an annual thing, or maybe even semi-annual, right? Any thoughts?
Yes, anything that gets me out of the house will always get my vote.
Well, I need my grass cut over.
Yeah, me too. I'm for semi-annual photo event or picnic.
All right, well, we'll watch the weather patterns. And at least the September one seems to be a really good time of year. It's on the shoulder of the heat of summer, and you may or may not get heat, and you may or may not get clouds, but either way, it's a good time after August when people are typically disappearing anyway.
Well, the weather's most stable during this time of year, so until late October, usually.
All right, I'm going to hand it over to Paul, W7PEB. He recently participated in something the ARRL offered for anybody interested, and I don't want to steal his thunder.
This year, ARRL had what they call the Volunteers on the Air, and it kind of rotated around, I think, on a weekly basis. All the states had a shot at it. Oregon, the first week, I think, was back in late April or early May, and they had 10,000 QSOs, but they think a lot of them might have been duplicates. But so they tried to do a little better editing of the logs this time. We had 35 participants. I ran 3 sessions, and we had a total of 6,687 QSOs in that week that we did it. Interestingly enough, there were 1,200 that were done on CW, about 1,300 that were done on the single sideband, and digital had 4,100. So it was pretty busy. I was on the wrong side of the pileups for a little while, which was interesting. And I don't think Oregon has another shot at it before the end of the year, but it was fun to do, and they were actually looking for people to work more nights. I think that if they'd had more night participants, we'd have picked up some more QSOs. Any questions?
Is this with W1AW, or I missed that?
W1AW/7.
Yeah, /7.
So
okay. Yeah,
that confused a few people because they thought they were talking to Connecticut, and I had to straighten them out a little bit. But it was nice because it was slow enough that actually I got to talk to some people also. Explain what the program was.
That's great. That is a really good thing. I never would have guessed, Paul, is that you had some rag chew time. And I had other commitments, and I knew they were coming, and I didn't want to commit to something I couldn't, I wasn't sure of. I'm glad you made the PRA proud, and that's really great that you did that, and I'll bet you'll probably want to do that again next year. That sounds like a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Hey, I'm going to in the chat window, I'm going to go ahead and send the link to Swaptoberfest. If anybody has any things they want to bring to and claim a table, now's a really good time to do that. They do fill up fast. I've never seen an empty table at Swaptoberfest. So, consider it. Don't just think that you can show up. So I know they have 2 buildings. I don't know if both of them are occupied anymore, or just one, or whatever they're doing. But, get on that if you want to get a table. And like I said, the club has 2 tables this year, and it's mostly for Bill's estate. We voted on that a couple of months ago, and went ahead and procured or whatever, allocated I got a reservation for 2 tables with electricity. So we'll have that. I don't know if we'll have room for anybody else's stuff. That's yet to be determined. Based on what Bill has for equipment, I'm suspecting no. So anyway, something to think about. I don't think there's buying tickets ahead of time. It doesn't seem to be a real valuable thing to do. It's not like you're trying to go to Dayton here. I mean, you can just walk in and buy a ticket. So. Okay, so at this point, we'll kind of go around. This is sort of a jump ball. If anybody has any new business or upcoming events, any items of interest they want to share. Anthony, looks like you got something.
Yeah, so I sent an email out to the list a little while ago, but Benton County Aries is scheduled to hold another tech class and VE session. That is currently on the books for October 27th through the 29th. Currently we have one person signed up for the class in the VE session. And we're hoping to get at least 3 to be able to run the class. So if you know anybody that's interested in taking the test, and especially anybody that's looking to get involved and would like some lecture time before they take the test, that's available. Currently scheduled to take place at the Benton County Sunset Building in Corvallis. And that's down on Research Way, kind of down off of kind of parallel to Highway 34 there. There is a possibility that by then we'll move the location to the Benton County Sheriff's Office Annex, which is going to be kitty corner from the law enforcement building in downtown Corvallis. But that is dependent on some funds coming through to buy some tables and chairs. Currently there are too many chairs and almost no tables. So if that changes, we'll announce and let people know that we're moving that location. But otherwise, Sunset Building, and yeah, so the class will be Friday evening, if we have enough interest, Friday evening and Saturday, all day, and then a review session Sunday morning and the VE session Sunday afternoon. So if you're interested, and if anybody's interested in an upgrade or anything like that, we are running with Laurel VEC now, which means that the exam fee is free. Still have to pay the FCC for the to process the paperwork and everything, but at least you don't have to pay to sit there and take the test. So if anybody's looking to upgrade, the examinations for all 3 license classes will be available.
That was when I got that email, Anthony, it was so appropriate. My backyard neighbor, I was talking to her over the fence, just, weekend before this last one. And of course, she can see my hex beam pretty clearly. And we got talking about ham radio, and she says, I've always been interested in that. What can I do? And I said, well, we have licensing things periodically here. And then up popped your email. So I've got to hang out in the backyard because to see her, but I'm going to let her know. I'm going to get her email and forward your email to her.
All right, yeah, definitely. That's and then we are hoping that at least for the VE sessions, to try and get VE sessions scheduled maybe as often as monthly, depending on availability and interest, especially without having to do the money thing, and because we can do the examinations all on tablets and laptops and stuff. It's a lot easier to spin up a test, and we don't have to do a lot of prep work before the exam. So because of that, we're hoping to be able to have a kind of a rolling monthly window for a exam session in the Corvallis area, And if nobody wants to do it, then nobody wants to do it, and oh well. And if people want to show up, then we can run a quick test. So yeah, so pass along to anybody and everybody. Again, if we get critical mass, we'll be able to do the full class and VE session. If we don't get enough interest, we'll, at least for the class, we'll probably look at canceling, rescheduling the class for later, but still offer the VE session. Because it looks like we have at least one person looking to take the test. And so if they're willing to still take the test, we'll, again, the process, I think once we get things really nailed in, probably about half an hour or so to run a VE session. So
Very nice. Thank you, Anthony, for cross-sharing that information via email and as offering it as an Aries sponsored item as well. I noticed in the chat window, Ron, I know he just disappeared off screen. There he is. Posted something about operators, but before I have another question in here. So Tyler, yeah, I actually put my name in at those two tables for Bill. You can contact me, but right now, until we know how much stuff Bill has and if it's going to fit on two tables, you know, sort of thing. So I don't know if there's any other room, but as far as coordinating it, contact Mike W7RIS if you can helping hands. That would be fabulous, because I know that if 10 people say they're coming, 5 will end up showing up because illnesses happen, things happen, family issues happen. So the more the merrier. Okay. Ron, do you want to go ahead with your comment about the NASA item?
Okay, well, coming up October 14th is I think it's what, a lunar eclipse or solar eclipse, one or the other, whichever it is. Solar eclipse, there we go. And NASA's been asking for some help for ham radio operators to get on during that period and provide them with the results so that they can see, kind of study how the eclipse impacts radio propagation. I don't know a lot of what's involved, but I know it's only a month away. And if you're interested, you know, I provided the link there, or you know, you can just, if you search ham NASA science and lunar eclipse, put all those in there, and then or solar eclipse, it'll come up with a site for you.
Very nice. That's interesting. And the first thing that came to my mind is all somebody has to do is just come up with a rare DX entity and they'll fill the airwaves, no problem. You won't need to get any volunteers. All right, that's great. Thank you for sharing. And people can mark it down in their calendars. It's the weekend between helping at Bill's and the Rick Rial. So there you go.
And it's actually a short, like 20-minute, 30-minute time frame, or I guess it's probably, you know, no more than a couple of hours. So it's a very short period of time there. Thanks, Paul.
Yep. And for those following in the chat, Anthony also posted something about the tech class and VE session. So if you don't have chat on your showing up on your window pane, you might see that there's some messages down below. You can click on it and see it. Thank you, Anthony. Anybody else have anything to add to any new business or items of interest? So next time you come, Thomas, maybe you could explain how radio and X-ray kind of coalesce, right? Because you're the X-ray radiation technician, and both Ron and I are into nuclear. So between nuclear and radios, I mean, you're kind of the guy in the middle.
But we're just in the different part of the spectrum, right? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, that's all, you know. Yeah, I was just dealing with folks with nukes today, and it's just a whole nother ball game right there. So I mainly work in regulatory now, and so I work for a state agency, and so I do work with all different levels, including MRI. And so it's and a lot of MRI safety, which happens to anybody that knows RF energy at all would be you guys. And I wish more of the technologists would understand the safety. So there's a huge thing there, but you know, we can get into that.
Hey, you know, this is a great crossover. I mean, we've had crossovers from radio astronomy into the ham radio clubs. Please consider putting, you know, a 15 or 20-minute presentation together to explain, you know, how these things two blend together. I mean, we'd love it. I mean, it's something of interest because, like you said, it's just a little bit further down the dial. So if you feel like doing that sometime, or even just talking about it, have at it.
Listening to
Could you repeat?
Thank you. Oh, I said thank you. I have an unstable internet connection, just to let you know.
No worries.
I have one small
Anyway.
bit item to talk about, to ask.
Oh.
So I have been sending
Go ahead,
out the.
Ted.
Do I? I have been sending out the minutes just prior to the next meeting. But in these meetings, we're finding out that, you know, there's 3 or 4 things now that are going to occur during this month before I would normally send out the meeting minutes. Would it be beneficial if I sent them out earlier in the month versus later in the month?
If there's time sensitive material, Ted, that would be fabulous. If it's gonna hit before the next meeting, that would be great. And if it's gonna inspire somebody to come to the meeting because they see the minutes and they go, oh, the next topic of next month, we're gonna vote on this or something like that, or whatever may be described. So if that's the case, you don't have to do it every month that way, but if you look through it and ask yourself, is this something that people need to see prior to, you know, a couple of days before the meeting, then, you know, use your judgment.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no, it's a good question. And that happens on occasion. I appreciate the question. Any other items of interest before we go ahead and close the official meeting, and then we'll turn it over to Scott and see if he has something that he can share. And if not, we'll plan B. He will send out a link and then we can all look at it on our own.